Good evening, Somers, and welcome to the Town of Somers work session of Thursday, July 2nd, 2020. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and be seated. Okay, I want to welcome you all to the meeting tonight, and what I'm going to suggest is everyone themselves talk.
Can everybody hit mute, please?
Correct? There you go. Okay, I'm going to make a motion to
Rick, Mr. Supervisor, I'm sorry, I'm getting a heck of a lot of feedback.
Everybody hit mute, please.
put yourself on mute.
Okay.
You could tell where it's coming from. It stopped. There was a telephone number that was there, 917, but I don't see it anymore.
Okay.
The green box lights up when it's making noise, so you can tell who it is.
All right. Okay, so we have two public hearings to continue tonight. The first one is the proposed local law to amend Chapter 170 entitled Zoning, Article 7 entitled Office Business 100 District in its entirety of the Code of the Town of Somers. So with that, I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay.
Rick, you should reopen the second public hearing as well, because we run them concurrently.
Concurrent, okay. So I'll make a motion to open the continuance of the proposed revision to the Town of Somers Comprehensive Plan Update adopted February 11th, 2016, with regard to the new private school in Somers.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Okay, we'll turn it over to the new school.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Supervisor and members of the board. Mark Weingarten, before I start, Bonnie, if you're on, would you like to start the presentation and the slides? You know, I'm doing the first few, it'll go to you.
Sure. Let me share my screen here.
Okay, great. Terrific. We'll start with that. So good evening again, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. For the record, my name is Mark Weingarten. I'm a partner in the firm of Del Bello, Dinellen, Weingarten, Wise, and Wiedeker. And it's my pleasure to be here this evening representing 294 Route 100 LLC and its agent Sebastian Capital, the landlord, together with Evergreen Ridge LLC, aka Bluestone Peak Academy, the school, in connection with their joint request for the requisite town approvals to enable the development of a world-class for-profit day STEM high school, grades 9 to 12, on the property located at 294 Route 100, formerly known as the IBM campus. Specifically, these hearings are directed to our request to amend and update your 2016 comprehensive plan to reflect and specially permit the proposed school use on this site. This hearing also concerns our request for the requisite text changes to the OB 100 zone to facilitate the project. In sum, we seek to create a special permit in the OB 100 zone for a private for-profit institution of secondary learning. There are other more technical requests which Bonnie will walk you through in a moment. Next slide, Bonnie. Great. You guys are all familiar. I won't go through the terrific team that we have. You're very familiar with them. Suffice it to say, our leader, Roxana, is on with us and a host of others for answering questions. You will hear from Bonnie, who will take you through some of the technical details that are the subject of the hearing. And then after that, we're going to turn it over to Tim DeCipio, the CEO and leader of the school, to give the full presentation. There's been requests in the past for a full presentation of the school and what it's going to look like and its curriculum and how it's going to operate. We're going to do that this evening as part of these hearings. Next slide, Bonnie. So just to go through it with you briefly, and you've seen this before, we have 723 acres on this former IBM campus that's currently zoned in the OB 100 district. We are seeking to rezone only 345 of those total 723 acres. So it's clear the vacant parcels, and we'll show you the subdivision in a bit, that the school is not located on, remain exactly the same as they are now. The only difference is that we are removing one use at the request of the town, that multifamily no longer be permitted on that use. Multifamily is permitted in OB 100. We are not planning to develop that, and we've been asked to take it out of the zoning, and we have removed it from the zoning as part of our requested text change. So some might inquire, why do we need these requested changes? You know, as you're all aware, the former IBM campus was a vital part of the fabric of the Somers community, not to mention its vital economic importance. And like many corporate campuses, as you're fully familiar, there's been a declining demand for traditional office space in this region. Together with the Pepsi site, you know, there's an awful lot of vacant space in your community. It needs to be repurposed. Other communities have rezoned large office campuses in Westchester to permit schools and medical uses and hospitals and retail and residential. And this is our request, which we think fits well within Somers. Our proposal, if successful, will restore this campus to a productive use. It will adaptively reuse more than half the site. All of the 5 IMPA designed interconnected iconic buildings with a total of 1.2 million square feet will be reutilized as part of this site. And the only structure that we are adding to this acreage is the field house. So it is really a green-friendly type of reuse. We believe that this is, in fact, the highest and best use for the campus. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bonnie to take you through a little more of the technical detail of these hearings. And then again, it's going to go straight to Tim for his presentation about the school. Go ahead, Bonnie.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Can you guys all hear me okay?
Yes.
Bonnie Von Olson from Kimley Horn. This, you've seen this slide before, is a aerial photo of the existing campus, specifically within the Loop Road. And again, just to reiterate what Mark was saying, we're here to discuss the comprehensive plan amendments, the zoning amendments to propose to permit the school use, and there's also a subdivision involved as well as a planning board site plan that we are working on concurrently. The subdivision, as Mark said, Lot 1 is the interior of the Loop Road and the road out to Route 100, which is where the school will be for the special permit use. It's 344.9 acres. Lot 2 is where the utility, sewage plant and so forth are, and that's 35 acres. And then lots 3 and 4 with no development proposed are 233 and 109.7 acres respectively. And this gives you a better look of the entire site. North is to the left on this map. Here's the Loop Road. This is lot 2 with the sewage and water facilities. The road out to driveway out to Route 100 is this way. The driveway out to 116, and from the loop, the driveway out to 138. So as we said, lot 3, lot 4, no proposed development. The school will be using the, as you can see, the plan is superimposed here. So where there were parking lots, there are shown fields. And other than those are really the primary changes to the site plan. Other than that, the loop road, the driveways, where there was parking before, there will be parking again, but only a fraction of the parking is required. And the buildings and connectivity between the buildings and the landscape will all stay the same in that respect. So there's a lot of words in the next few slides, but basically wanted to walk you through a little bit of the highlights of the comprehensive plan, and why the amendments are required. So the educational school use is not currently reflected in the plan. So the future land use plan needs to be amended, the plan itself and the text as well. And we're proposing the amendments to provide for adaptive reuse for existing facilities on the site, specifically for private for-profit day and boarding institutions of secondary learning. So from the update plan text that is in there now, we pulled a few parts out which do refer to the site. And the plan acknowledges the town's potential consideration for zoning modifications to ensure viable reuse of large-scale non-residential properties such as this site. The plan acknowledges that the time may be right to re-examine the office zoning. And in 2016, again, as Mark said, large-scale Pepsi, IBM, and Lincoln Hall sites and lands are considered underdeveloped and potentially subject to change. So that's how the plan handled it in 2016, where they didn't, obviously the town did not know what was going to happen. So now that there's a specific redevelopment plan, that's what's proposed to actually change the text. Some of the goals in the existing plan that are relevant to the project. Goal 1, promote the highest quality of life for the town residents. A pursuit of best possible environmental quality and promoting sustainable development. And of course, goal number 3, to enhance the economic base of the town. And as far as the zoning amendments go, again, OB 100 is only going to be, in other words, the only portion of the OB 100 site that this will be applicable to is to lot 1, which is the school lot. In order to accommodate the school use instead of just office and accessory office uses, it's proposed again that the zoning ordinance be amended to include private for-profit institution of secondary learning as a special exception use in this district. The actual zoning itself is a few pages long, but this is the essence of what was being requested. These sections, number 2 is actually what I just referred to, the special exception use. Number 1 is what Mark was referring to earlier, which basically says that in the OB 100 district, detached single-family residences in accordance with R80 district will be permitted. However, the attached or semi-attached residences as proposed will be prohibited in the OB 100 district, as well as multifamily residents. And as Mark said, this was a request of the town board. Sorry about that. The applicant is open to that either way, whatever the town board feels is the appropriate language. And number 3 really just refers to accessory uses and talks about the OB 100 district accessory uses also be permitted with the special exception school use in OB 100. And the only other specific portion of the zoning amendment we wanted to point out was the setbacks, building setbacks from surrounding roads. We wanted to point out that on lots 3 and 4, which are the ones that do not have any development proposed, the OB 100 district will still be in force, and district, I should just read the sentence. Lots 3 and 4 will remain subject to the existing requirement that principal structures be set back 500 feet from Route 138 and from routes 100 and 116. In other words, from all the surrounding roads. So therefore, the visual character along those roads will stay the same as it is right now. On Lot 2, it's basically the same thing. Lot 2 is the utility lot. It's also subject to the 500-foot setback from Route 100. And that happens to be, the buildings that are in there are already outside of that setback, so it complies as well. And then on Lot 1, which is the school lot, any school principal building or structure or recreation area or field has to be at least 100 feet from the property line, which means it's internal property line, and also at least 500 feet to any property line abutting the street of a state road. So that would be Route 100, and at least 100 feet to any other property line. So we wanted to make sure that the town board understood that the existing buildings, if you can't see them now, and you pretty much can't from the state roads, they won't be visible in the future as well. The same frontages that everyone drives by right now will remain wooded. I did put the plan in there again in case there were questions, but I can leave that up, or I can just turn it over to Tim at this point and he can share his screen. You want to do it in that order, have Tim's presentation and then.
Yes, that was the plan. As long as that's okay with the board, we're going to turn it over to Tim to do his presentation on the school.
Okay, so I'm going
Sure.
to.
Bonnie, thank you for your presentation. That was, we've heard it all before, but it's always good to have it reviewed. And with that, Tim, I'm looking forward to your presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Town Supervisor Morrissey. Great to be, well, I haven't talked to some of you in 5-6 months. So some of this might be repetitive. I think I've given 4 or 5 presentations on the school, but I'm going to cover some new ground and unveil a little bit more about the curriculum. Can everyone see the screen?
We can see you. So far, just you.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
No, I can see him fine.
The screen
Yeah.
you can see fine?
No, not the presentation. Just we only see you.
Okay, hold on.
We need to share the screen.
Okay. There we go. Okay. Are you seeing it?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, great. Let me just go full screen. There we go. Okay, hold on. Go back. I've got a couple of team members on as well, and they'll be joining for certain parts of this, including John. But the first thing I want to welcome you to is the new name and logo. I think you've seen this before in some of the other presentations and meetings, but this is the name that we want to go to. In fact, the other day we just got U.S. patent trademark approval for it, but we hope you like it. And what we're going to cover tonight is we're going to talk about the launch date, because there's a change in that, a little bit more about the curriculum. We're going to go deeper into the curriculum and what I think is the differentiator in the school, health services, our staffing plan, emergency procedures, infectious disease protocols, and some transportation items, some other things as well. But the first bit of information just come right out with everything going on right now. We're going to have to push the launch date to fall of 2022. The elements impacting investment timing and the diligence that prospective partners would have to do on this, not to mention the recruitment marketing, we need to push back. So we're going to use, and we have been using the delay to just go after and refine, build out the curriculum much more, the student learning and information systems that will power the curriculum, instructor and staff hires, health procedures, and of course, classroom, dormitory, and lab refinements. But there are really three building blocks here of the school, and what I think is going to position us here. And I've talked about some of this, but we're going to offer the core traditional curriculum with a STEM STEAM focus, combined with AP. But what we're going to do that is unique across the country is offer an elective / because some schools might not want to categorize it as an elective / extracurricular pre-college career supplement course program, where we've got 300 plus short courses within, I know it's a little wordy, but within 40 emerging growth fields. I'm going to talk more about this and show you some visuals. But this is what we're very excited about and what I think the key differentiator is going to be. So in addition to certified teachers that will be teaching those traditional core courses, industry experts and professionals are teaching those emerging growth field courses. And those experts also have the dual role of instructor and counselor within those career fields and college degree fields, because they become the seasoned expert in those things if a student gets interested in something like bioscience or aerospace. And then, of course, the iconic IBM Lab Campus and the history of it. Those are the three things that we are talking about out in the road, getting a very good reaction. Of course, the last 3 months, some things have been put on hold, but some of this is repetitive. But we're doing a world-class boarding school with a day school as well, plus a post-secondary gap program. We want the ability to take in 1,800 students. We'll have just over 1,400 beds, as you've heard on some of the dormitory discussions. And again, the traditional curriculum has a focus on STEM, STEAM, and the emerging growth field categories. I mean, right now we've designed, over the past year and a half, very quietly, we've designed 300 plus courses in these emerging growth fields. We recently received the New York State Education Department provisional school application approval, which says we can move forward, of course, opening the schools, conditional on completing the renovation and getting the CO. We got our trademark. Well, actually, we're one step towards finalizing the trademark. There were no conflicts or challenges to it. We have been in discussions with top leading universities. 2 of them have visited the campus. Incredibly impressed. We have team members that are very experienced in school scholarships for families in need. We're building we've got a core staff of 8 people, education advisors from different backgrounds, and we've been interviewing potential instructors and staff members across a variety of backgrounds. You've seen some of these slides before, but what I want to say here is that, you know, everything we're doing to build the curriculum and the team will align very nicely with the whole aesthetic of the campus. The team are all from education. They are former teachers, school administrators, assistant superintendents, superintendents, people from education technology backgrounds to combine together and build a traditional core and emerging growth field course track that is going to be very exciting. The teachers are going to be from diverse backgrounds. We've been interviewing prospective teachers. Some of them are hearing about what we're doing and tracking us down. And the faculty will be doing professional development year-round with universities that can contribute various things towards our team. I think I've presented these slides, but I'll recap again. The anticipated student recruitment regions are the following. Day school students from the, you know, about a 45-minute radius. Regional students from the Northeast and New England, national students, and of course, international students. And I think we all know the international student market is a write-off certainly for this year. Some of the key highlights here, obviously the designer of the campus generating huge interest when we've done our roadshow. The renovation is really going to create a hub for us and a campus that we can use year round, not only for the year-round day and boarding school program, but summer programs that we can offer. The rural setting is a huge attraction. And of course, the rail line to the city and access to 4 airports. You know, when we show maps of where we are and where the airports are and train line, it's very exciting to a variety of people, partners, content partners, prospective investors. I've covered some of this. The student population will be from local, regional, national, global markets, and we have a plan in place to attract a diverse set of students, staff, teachers. And what was interesting is that some of the prospective partners have done their own research, and several of them noted that the town seemed highly supportive. Just from reading articles, we thought that was terrific. I'm going to segue here into some of the curriculum, but I want to throw something out. Some of you might have seen this. PayScale did a survey last year. 2/3 of employees were regretting their college degree choices. And the age bracket that was the most dissatisfied was millennials, which I was shocked at. But some of the other supporting data is interesting to look at. 1/3 of college students are changing their major. Half are entering college undecided. And so this points to potentially a lack of exposure to what the relevant, strong career and degree fields are. And maybe they don't have access to industry experts who can advise there. And so our strategy, and we really haven't come out really and said it till now, but our strategy is to very closely integrate the traditional core and emerging growth field track in with our industry experts who again are not only instructors, but counselors, maybe next generation counselor in specific industry areas. I'm going to let you see, some of our courses here. These are our traditional core curriculum courses. These probably look familiar to you if you're following what your local high school is offering there in Somers or anywhere in Westchester. We are going to aim for a generous number of AP courses, about 30. And these are what they're going to look like. You've probably seen these. But this is what we feel the secret sauce is. And you heard me say in the beginning that the emerging growth field courses we've designed. I'm going to introduce you to one of the instructors for the aerospace aviation sector in just a second. But I'm just showing a partial sampling. I don't want to disclose all 40, but you can see a variety of them here. If you have any questions on them, fine. But these are not just futuristic industries. These are all industries that are here now, industries that are hiring, that are strong right now, and are going to continue to emerge and get stronger. And we did a lot of research on this. We spoke to people in every single one of these industries, told them what we were doing, asked them what was trending. If you were going to teach courses on this to high school kids, they have ideas on what they would be. And so now we're going to show you, we're going to drill down a little bit here. And what I'm showing you here is 5 emerging industry sectors and some of the courses we've got in them. If you see any blanks, I removed a course name for a reason. But you'll notice that the first 2 courses from the top down are all introductory level. And there's a reason for that. And I'm going to let Fred jump in here in just a second, but I want to make one more comment before we introduce him to talk about the aerospace, aviation, unmanned systems course area. The first couple of courses are all introductory or principles of aerodynamics, intro to aviation, and there's a reason for that. We don't want to make those introductory courses super rigorous. We want the kids to enjoy them, see what's trending in the industries, learn some subject content, but have an enjoyable experience with it and see some of the fascinating things that are going on that they might not see in other high schools. And so as you move through the program, if you wanted to continue through Fred's program, you can see over here the courses get a little bit more advanced. And so with that, I'm going to let Fred take over the next few slides. And so Fred is a retired lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Air Force. He's very modest, but I'll tell you that in addition to the experience in the Air Force, he's had projects with NASA, Virgin Galactic, SpaceX, and he's an unmanned systems or drone technology consultant. Been working with us for about 7 months. He's a great guy, and I'm going to hand it over to him. Fred, are you there?
Yes, thank you, Tim. And Town of Summers, it's nice to meet you all. If at any time you have a question or like me to elaborate, please do so. Raise a hand or something like that. I'll just give a quick background. Why am I here? Came from the New York City area, born and raised in Queens. And I found through sports and academics and being given opportunities, I could do a lot better. So my motivation coming back home with my family back to the New York area after I retired was to raise our children here in the New York area. I'm within driving distance of Somers. I had an aunt who lived up in Mount Kisco, so love the area, and the campus is really beautiful. I really wanted to try to pass on to young people that if you have some sort of goal and you can connect from, say, freshman year of high school, why am I walking into high school every day? Why do these credits mean anything? Why is math and science important or other subjects? That's really what I do now, which is I show the kids, of course, through cool things like flying real airplanes and flying jets and flying drones and these exciting career fields. I get the students to be real serious about their studies. So real quick, my background is after I got a degree in mechanical engineering, I had a full scholarship. I went into the Air Force and I served as an engineer at first, and I worked on the Araya program. So we supported everything from the launches from Cape Canaveral to Vandenberg and got a lot of space and astronautical engineering experience. And then I really wanted to serve my country to deeper levels. So I went operational and I flew the B-1 and I served about 10 years in combat operations. And then I got picked up for test pilot school because Chuck Yeager was my hero. And I got to live my dreams the last 10 years of my life, doing everything from flight testing, fighter jets up into classified systems. On the way, I got a couple of more degrees and I realized I loved being an instructor, a flight instructor, as well as a mathematics and science engineering type of instructor. So I started becoming a certified flight instructor as well. So what I bring to the school is for the last 7 years since I retired now, I've run an aerospace program in the inner city of New York in Staten Island at Newdorp High School. And I've run this aerospace program where we've turned kids from kids who really maybe weren't interested in school, didn't understand what it was for, through the combination of getting them, teaching them how to study, how to connect their studies to a career, a lot of career counseling and mentorship. They get motivated, and we turn kids who are failing kids into A students. And every year now we've been distinguished unit. Only 9 schools in New York received that honor. We've received 2 pilot scholarships from the United States Air Force, and we receive about between $300,000 and $500,000 in scholarships every year, merit-based, not military-based. And we also received 2 $10,000 grants from the New York State Senate for we have the only FAA-certified flight simulators in New York high school. So we do that through all sorts of things. So what we're bringing here to Summers is, I build a curriculum. We introduce the young student to the aerospace field, career field, whether they want to be an aerospace management, own a business, they want to be more on the technical or engineering side, they want to be more on the pilot side. So we kind of give them that background. So some of the counseling things we do is say, hey, if you really want to be an engineer, maybe it might be good to get your pilot licenses on the side and work for Northrop Grumman or General Dynamics or SpaceX. Maybe you more on the flying side, but then you get that minor in business, or you combine engineering and aviation. So really, if you look at the screen here, what we start out with in the first class is to introduce them to all the great career options, especially in the New York State area. You have LaGuardia, Kennedy, White Plains for commuter traffic. You have Morristown, you have Teterboro. A lot of jobs in the aerospace related career fields. And we found that a lot of young people in the New York City area aren't going to the service academies or getting involved in aerospace, and they're farming out from other states. So what we do is we give them that basic aerospace history, basic flight science to see if they have the aptitude or the desire to continue. We get their hands on some drones and some flight simulators, and we focus on either those tracks of pilot, manned or unmanned, sensor, payload operator. Here's another one, a young kid who wants to be a YouTuber. And he's not math and science with that kind of aptitude. But we get them the drone licenses, and they combine that artistic nature that they have to make videos. And now they're filming commercials, making movies, doing those types of things. So it's not just about the engineering and aviation. That's where the A and the STEAM comes from. We've had a lot of people who were formerly in arts, performing arts and media arts getting involved in aerospace just from the fact of getting their drone licenses at 16 years old and starting businesses. So it is also for the artistic individual, but also for the engineer, program project manager, and either the entrepreneur or the contractor. I have current working relationships with the Air Force Test Pilot School, CAE, which is in Whippany, and we do field trips and things like that. Another thing too is we combine action plans. Like here's an example. The first assignment they get is to write a career paper, and we have them research aerospace career fields if that's what they're interested in. And then we say, what kind of degree do you want? What colleges have that? What GPAs and SAT scores and other things you can get, like maybe you can get your EMT license if you want medical. Maybe you can get your drone license or your private pilot license. What types of extracurricular things, you know, law, debate team. So we line up that profile to say, we're going to get your GPA up, your SAT scores up. You know why you're in school. You're going to get the extracurricular that makes you attractive on resumes. And we build that whole profile. And what we do is every single term or every single elective course, part of their final exam is to update their career plan paper to see if they're on track or off track for their goals. And then we make some corrective actions to be there. So they actually have an accountability every single term to say, this is why I need a 90 average. This is why, even though I don't like geometry, let me work harder on it. So that's what this kind of slide does. And then we also discuss, obviously, the STEM related career fields, you know, 300% growth rate. You know, an Airbus 380 captain makes between $300,000 and $400,000 a year, and they fly once a week. So there's a lot of great career options, especially in New York. I mean, starting drone pilots make between 80 and 250,000, depends on if you want to travel or work in, you know, remote areas. So that's the kind of thing that I brought to an actual New York school for 7 years. And I'm really looking forward to go unbounded up there at Summers and bring an even more elite program and drive these kids who are interested in aerospace through this kind of mentorship and education. Does anybody have any questions or anything for me?
Yeah, what's your cell phone number?
702.
7. Hold on. 70.
Dude,
Don't
Wait.
steal 'em
We
from
don't
me.
discuss Brett, like Fred's number, please, people. Let's just, you know.
All right, well, let me say this.
yes.
Yeah.
Fred, if you wouldn't mind calling me tomorrow or at your earliest convenience, my cell phone number is 914-406-0376. Thank you.
Okay. Let me just take that down now in my notes in my pad here. So can you just repeat that, please?
914-406-0376.
There's someone with some aviation training saying Niner. That's good on you there.
And I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
This aerospace, this example is very good. It's sort of like complementary suddenly to our public school system. Oh, by the way, my name is Yifei Chang. I'm speaking on my own, not on the school board. I'm serving on the school board as a board member, but
Yes.
I'm asking questions on my own. Do you have other type of courses that I consider as a complementary nature to the public school?
I mean, currently right now, or what's planned for Summers?
Yes.
Are
Or
you
you
talking
will
about
plan.
the Bluestone Peak Academy School?
Right.
There are many. Fred is just one instructor in.
Right. Example. That's one example. But I like to
Yeah.
know a broad picture.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
well-
fact, there are more courses than the 6 that we showed. That there are about 8 or 9 courses in Fred's program sector.
Yeah, we tend to attack the aerospace model for summers like this. We want the person, we don't want to scare anybody. Because as soon as someone hears aerospace, they think you have to be a mathematical and scientific genius. And there are tons of career fields that are aerospace related. So like I said, we attack it from kind of 3 angles. There's more of the business-minded person. There's more of the engineer, technical-minded person, and there's more of the pilot or operator, sensor operator type of person. And then what we're going to do is we're going to introduce them to the theory, the Newton's laws, and the basics of being an academic student, that rigor and getting their grades up, because we want their math and science grades to be high so they can get into the great schools. And then at the same time, I'm giving them that training where we're going to have full FAA-approved flight simulators inside the actual campus and access to them with real drones. And we'll actually start filling out the logbooks with me as a certified flight instructor. And along with the theory in the class, they're also going to be getting their certifications, written tests, licenses, and actual experience. They can say, hey, I'm an 18-year-old and I'm graduating with, say, a private pilot license, as well as I have 150 hours on a $300,000 drone with a Red Epic camera, and I'm ready to film commercials. And here's some of my portfolio of my work. You know, here's my capstone projects. I've visited Air Force Test Pilot School. I've visited the Navy Test Pilot School. I've visited SpaceX, and I've, you know, my personal friend runs the New York City Drone US.
Yeah, Fred, you impressed me. I understand that. But my question is a little higher level, more philosophical based, that when you introduce a school in Somers, we have a public school. We certainly want to see the school going in parallel, complementary in nature, okay? So I want to explore your philosophy and your planning in that you are taking into consideration there is an existing school. You are going to sort of cooperate with us. So in that aspect, do you have any liaison from our school district participating in your planning?
Fred is an instructor.
I understand, yeah.
New on the group, but let me answer that. So
yeah,
we had what I thought was a very good meeting with the Somers superintendent and several of his team members. That was I believe that was about 7 or 8 months ago. We met them over at
I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah. And so we disclosed really what the mission was of the school, and that we hinted towards some of these electives or extracurricular courses. We want to work together. We would love to share resources. In fact, I asked one of my team members to reach out last week, and I was curious what the largest room or auditorium was at the high school. I was just curious what the numbers were that it could hold. But in terms of sharing resources, lectures, courses, athletic fields, we've in the past put that out there that, you know, we want to be the best neighbor, and we also want to be able to rely on, you know, our neighbors if we need any assistance, whether it's academic, sports, emergency, health related, absolutely.
I would hope that you could invite the school administration, someone to participate in your planning process. I think that would increase the interaction and better understanding between schools. On that, also, I have a simple question to the property owners. Maybe too simple, but I'd like to hear the answer. Can regular school bus, the big school bus, go on your campus easily in case that there will be cooperation and dropping students to your campus or vice versa?
And I think some others can answer this too, but the whole campus was designed for actually tractor trailers to come up and go to loading.
So no problem there. Okay.
Yeah.
No problem there.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
There is no problem there.
Can I ask a question of Fred, please?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, good. Fred, thank you so much. I just want to make sure I got that straight. You're at New Dorp High School at the current time?
Yes, I run the aerospace science program there.
Are you there full time in that role, or is that part time?
I would call it a part-time role, yeah.
And within that, you say you do counseling with them. Is that informal, or you have a counseling program you're going to bring to the Somers School?
Yeah, well, what's great is the program is certified by New York State as well as the United States Air Force. So we come with a full-up program. I just got to change it over, you know, to Somers. Yes, it is.
And when you come to Somers, or assuming, would that be in a full-time capacity or a part-time capacity also?
Yeah,
We're
right
let
now,
me answer that, Fred. I've talked to our team about this. We want to bring Fred on full-time. We see his program will be very significant, and we see a lot of cross-curricular pollination into other areas where someone like Fred could come into the physics class or the math class and show industry relevancy. And it's another bullet point in a slide, but yeah.
Tim, is that how you'd see the people who are heading all these, I'm not sure about different departments, but certainly career sorts of that diverge a little bit from the average high school curriculum. Are they all going to be full-time or part-time? How do you see that?
Good
Are they
question.
already on staff
Yeah.
with you, or how's
So-
that going?
Yeah, so some of these industries are very significant, good number of courses. In that case, we've budgeted for a full-time staff member. Others are, you know, a little bit more niche-y, and we expect, you know, a pretty good number of part-time instructors. Again, the core curriculum instructors are full-time, mostly full-time. The emerging growth field course instructors, combination. I would say that maybe just over 50% of them are part-time. They're coming over from their full-time job, and their company has given their blessing to come over and do 3-4 hours of courses during the week in agricultural technologies and hydroponic farming, or, you know, whatever the niche might be. Someone like Fred, we're counting on a full-time role because we also need someone to head up that particular program sector.
Yeah, certainly that's different. So just building on Ife's question before, some of this is much of what is done in a similar vein, at least at the local BOCES campuses in northern Westchester BOCES and southern. Do you see any connections, or have you made any connections with those to complement those programs to either benefit you or benefit the other kids?
Yeah, we've got a very strong BOCES contact. I don't want to divulge, but it looks like we can even take advantage of some state discounts on purchasing. But yeah, we've reached out to BOCES, and it looks like we're going to get, you know, full cooperation and might be able to partner on a few things. You know, we haven't gotten to it yet, but it's coming up. We want to share this curriculum online. We're delayed in the opening of the campus. You know, our campus is the mothership. But we want to get the courses online right now. I think we could have 10 emerging growth field instructors. Fred is ready to go in about 10 days. We could have 10 up by the end of the summer. And I think we want to offer it online. We'd love to, you know, talk with some of the neighboring schools and, you know, partner for this. But, you know, we think with the time we've got now, we want to get it online and get a lot of input, see what people think. I just know, and relative to that, I just noticed, I think it was Michael Ross had a question that came up on the screen. And I think the question was, what happens if a student, how do you address students whose parents send them to the school, but who don't know what they want to do? We love that.
That's probably every student.
We can expose them to numerous industry fields that they've never heard of, their parents have never heard of. I hadn't heard of some of these either, but that are out there and that they're industry experts on. And we've done our research. That none of these are, you know, we don't have a course on how you're going to make a career out of going to, you know, another planet yet. But we're backing up a little bit. We want to make sure anything we're offering is currently a career field. There are jobs, it's strong. And in fact, the first course they take is a crash course on all the industries. We're showing them what all 40 industries are about, giving them a glimpse. So they go, wow, you know, the architecture and smart cities, urban planning, that sounds really neat. I want to check into that. So the idea is to expose them to these industries, and hopefully they get interested in a few of them, and then they can go deeper into that. So,
but of course, the building block, as you said, are the core courses that you build on into these other areas that are more specialized.
Exactly. You got to take the core required curriculum. No way around.
Of course. Well, to be in New York State. And now I was just wondering, how many of these people are on full time? You're delaying till 2022. So are you able to have full time, or really it's just basically you and Fred and a couple others?
Yeah, we've got about 8 or 9 people. Most of them are part-time, but there are completely other meetings on our planning and budgeting. And we've identified, if we haven't hired the person yet, we've identified some some rock stars in both the core curriculum and emerging growth field areas that we really like. And the other thing I would throw out is if anyone knows someone in any of these emerging growth fields, and I'm sorry, I don't want to provide every industry. I've got to retain, a little bit here, but if you think you know someone we should talk to.
You have a local government growth field in that, we got
No.
we need help,
Shrinking
so maybe
government.
it'll help us. But Tim, I have one last question. You were mentioned that you have all these connections you want to make with the local school district, the local towns. That's great. And so I just want to follow up. So, and you want to be a good neighbor. And as Bonnie said earlier, the first part of the correct comprehensive plan is to enhance the quality of life in Somers. So I've asked this question several times to several people. I just want to know what you think. When I've asked in the past how this is all going to benefit Somers, the obvious answer and the answer we've gotten is, well, it's going to be, you're going to pay taxes. So we understand that, we appreciate that. I was just wondering though, in your mind as the head of the school, how you see other areas that you might see it benefiting. We want you to succeed, of course.
Right.
But we want to have the town be better because of you. And we think that you believe in that also. So I just wonder if you could put a little bit of meat on that.
Yeah, and I said this almost a year ago in one of the meetings. We want to be a great neighbor. We want it to be a reciprocal relationship. We're going to need things. I'm going to have to reach out to Superintendent Ray and get a question answered urgently at some point. By the way, I'm not going to be the head of school. That's going to be someone more on the education side. I come from education, but I'm going to be heading up from more of the business strategy, partnership, operations side, just so everyone's clear. We're going to have, we've got someone we think is going to make an amazing head of school or co-head of school. We've got some ideas for a dual role there. But in terms of making the environment better, I believe it's a reciprocal relationship. The greatest thing in the world would be that we're able to tap into some of the Somers High School resources, and we can reciprocate with some of our unique academics and any resources we've got in sports, fields, lecture rooms. We want to be inviting, if Somers High School finds out there are 27 kids that are interested in architecture, and we've got some pretty great architects associated with this project. I'm going to be making them
Eric Kyer is one of them.
Field instructor. So Eric, if you're listening, start planning your syllabus. But
he designed the school. He should come teach here.
Yeah, but we want to make sure Somers can send a group of kids over that we know have a genuine interest in this, and maybe further their understanding. It's not for any other reason, but to share with our community. Somers is our town. It's been great. The reaction that partners, everyone we've invited in, even the people who are looking at our lighting have commented on how great the town seems to be from articles. So, and we want to keep that going and reciprocate any way we can. So it's kind of early to say, hey, we've got XYZ fields open on Thursday, October. We're not there yet.
Right.
Doing calendaring, but we know we're going to have availability on set. It's a big campus. But as we move closer, I think we're going to be able to speak more intelligently on this.
So Tim,
Thank you. I look forward to more conversations with you.
yeah, so Tim, this is obviously an ambitious project. We wish you great success. Can you talk a little bit about how you're thinking about how you facilitate, a student's transition from, what they're learning here into a college or an industry sector, and because your school is going to be unique based on the way you're designing your curriculum, but its success is going to be how the students essentially take themselves to the next level.
Yeah, a good question. And we've actually asked about 11 university admissions people about this kind of journey our kids would be on. And so we have, in fact, it's not in the, we've got the slides, be interested, maybe next time we'll show some of these, sort of a day in the life slides of 3 different kids and the types of courses that they're taking as they come into the school and as they're, you know, approaching graduation. And so, you know, Anthony, we've actually got a slide. We're going to do a 4-day block on the core curriculum, and then 1 day a week is all emerging growth field courses. That starts to approach, I think, a little bit of the information you want to know about. But we are going to have minimums for each year you're at the school. I mean, you might only be at the school 2 years, but for each year, we're going to set a minimum on the number of emerging growth fields that you have to take to get exposure to industries. That's part of the whole curriculum. So we do, I don't have those in front of me now. We're still figuring out how we're going to schedule this because we want to make sure that the boarding students and the day students all have the same opportunity and that boarding students don't have any advantage over day students. So that adds a little complexity to the scheduling, but as they're approaching college application, the program's designed so that what the student, if the student does an interview at a college or they're applying and they're interested in architecture and smart cities and urban planning and infrastructure design, they might have 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 or 6 courses in that sector that are trailing them. They're able to put on the table during an interview at, SUNY Albany or University of Massachusetts, to have a great discussion piece there and even be able to talk about their instructor and what their background was and how they came to the point that they realized they wanted to major in this. And the reason this is important to universities is that they want to know a student really wants to be there and wants to go through that degree program and has certainty of that. They hate to lose a student to a transfer, and especially if that student transfers out sophomore or junior year, they're not getting that tuition back. So to know that the student's very passionate about it and has background information already in this industry and field is making university admissions officers feel very comfortable about the program we're designing. Not sure if that.
Appreciate it. I thank that very much. Hey, Rick, do you have any
Can I
outside?
add on Tony's question?
Well, actually,
I know you represent the business side of the issue, but I think at least I am, and we are concerned about the academic aspect. As you know, students are our future productivity and so on. So focus is helping the students, and certainly benefiting Somers is one criteria. But I think thinking about making America great is even higher order. And I'm not so sure your planning philosophy. Are you really trying to help students locally to get into college, get into professional, get into productive career, or internationally, we help international? I mean, there's a not necessarily conflict, but however, it can be if you are not planning in the right direction. So someone ought to be in your school thinking that philosophical question. And we as a town probably should also think along those lines. It's not just a business entity say, okay, we'll come in Somers. I think school is not a short-term business. It's a long-term business. You have to think very long-term, and the objective is very important. So anybody in your organization can come to talk along these lines.
So a good point. So remember, everyone developing the school, there's no one that's involved in the development of the school and the curriculum and the mission and long-term vision that hasn't been in education for a good number of years. I'm going to be on the business side, but I've been in education for 22 years. I've been in physically over 900 schools in almost 30 countries, seen what schools look like, how they operate, how they serve curriculum. I was regarded as a pioneer in education technology. Early in my career, I was trying to figure out how the internet could move curriculum and have teachers and students collaborating. And I hear you. And look, we looked at the top 30 ranked private schools in the US, And while they all offer a course or two on robotics and some of these things, none of them offer the comprehensive emergent growth field course track that we've designed over a year. It's been over a year and a half now. We've been working on this. So I'm proud to say, you know, it's built here in Westchester, New York tri-state area. It's going to happen here first. And we do plan on having international students. I think that benefits our American students. Yeah, no, I appreciate your points. And I think we share the same vision here.
So Tim, I want to thank you and Fred for a very interesting and in-depth presentation.
Hey, Rick, 1 minute. Rick, 1 minute. Tim.
Right. I know there were, the public obviously is watching us and may have some comments. So Paul, is there anyone from the public that has questions?
All right, stand by, guys.
Okay. And then Patty, yeah, you're taking texts and phone calls. If there are any, just let us know.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, if you're ready, Pat, go ahead.
Go ahead, Patty.
Okay, so let's start with Tim. Can you just introduce yourself, your last name, and your role?
Tim DeCipio. I'm the president of Evergreen Ridge LLC, which is a holding company and the school developer. And Bluestone Peak is a part of the holding company, Bluestone Peak Academy. And my role is on the education business side, helping run the school operation, curriculum strategy, hiring, budget projections, board decisions, and working with the heads of school and senior team.
Okay, and their follow-up question is, how does somebody inquire about employment opportunities at Bluestone Peak Academy, and is there someone they can speak to?
Yeah, so if you go to the website, bluestonepeak.org, not .com. We've got .com, but .org is where you want to go, bluestonepeak.org. And there's a form and field there, and we're looking at everything that comes in. So by all means, and you know, our goal, we would be very excited to be hiring as local as possible for reasons you know, but you know, we've got things lined up in sequence we've got to do here. And but we, you know, and I'm talking to a lot of the people who are inquiring. So yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
Yep.
Okay, so Paul, how about you? Do you have anybody in the queue?
No, I do not.
Okay, I just want to give everyone ample opportunity to comment since this is a public hearing.
Mr. Supervisor, I think there is a question in the chat that I saw. You might want it for the record.
Yeah, Paul, you want to pull that up again?
Okay, I don't know if I can share the chat, but it was from Jill Chance. She said, do you have a plan for students coming in after freshman year?
Yeah, we will take students after freshman year, after sophomore year, and we have discussed a plan to even take just seniors, but we've got a little bit more discussion on that. So we'll take a 3 or a 2-year student.
Okay, good question.
Is there anybody else a part of this meeting that has a question? Please ask that now.
Tim, does that mean that there's no PG? I thought I read before you had PG students you imagined going. No?
I'm sorry, it's breaking up on my end.
Okay, sorry. I thought.
What kind
yeah,
of
I thought earlier I had read, maybe I'm wrong, that you were taking PG students after they graduate. Many schools do that from petty school on up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Post-grad, yeah, I said that at the beginning, that it's a 4-year boarding and day high school with a post-secondary gap year. So just for anyone that's watching,
okay,
year is for a student who graduates high school and maybe wants to get more courses in. And, you know, I'm biased here, but this would be an ideal situation to prepare to apply to a college and show up with some emerging growth field courses where a university admissions office knows, wow, you know, he or her decided to elevate their core math or science a little bit more. And what's this? They show up with 4 or 5 emerging growth field courses in artificial intelligence because that's what they want to major in. Wow, where'd this kid come from? You know, so that's the kind of track we want to put the students on. And again, we want to, you know, we're looking at how we can share the curriculum with partner schools. We think we're going to have a campus where people want to be in person, where, you know, a lot of this is happening. But coming from an ed tech background, we think we can share this with, certainly we want to talk locally, see how we can share the curriculum, you know, down the street and across the county. But yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to make sure I didn't misunderstand about the PG year. But thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, so once again, I want to thank Roxana, Mark Weingarten, and go ahead, Tim.
Town Supervisor Morrissey, John LaPlaca didn't get to do his slides because we were having so much fun on Fred's, but I don't know.
Mr. Supervisor, it's up to you. We did a short presentation on, there were some questions at some of our previous meetings regarding security. As you know, we've hired Mr. LaPlaca and his firm. So if you'd like a short presentation on security measures at the campus, we're happy to do that now for you.
I don't want to cut this presentation at all short. And yes, we are very interested in the security piece. So please continue.
Okay, let me just continue here.
Take it away, John.
Well, while Tim's bringing that up, good evening, everybody. I'm John LaPlaca. I'm the CEO of Altaris Consulting Group, and great to see everybody tonight. We work with about 50 school districts across the region. We also work with the Somers School District, so we know Somers well. We work at Kennedy Catholic High School and many neighboring communities as well, so we understand the area. So this is a really exciting project. We started probably about sometime in October, November, where we did assessment of the school buildings, looked at the plans. We've been working very closely with the architect, with Tim's people as well. We've already met with the emergency responders, both state police and the Somers Police Department, the fire department as well. We had a great dialogue with them. Ultimately here, what we're trying to do with the school is to enable their ability or establish their ability to prevent whenever possible and when necessary to respond effectively to just about any emergency they may be faced with. There are obviously unique constraints, and there's unique challenges that are associated with a boarding school. We have worked closely with the EF Academy in Westchester County, which is a similar type of environment where it's an international school, 9 through 12. And again, same type of situation where we're dealing with unique challenges there. So ultimately, and depending on where we're at right now, we're doing a lot of work with reentry planning right now to try to figure out how schools are going to get back to school safely in the fall. So that's really the focus of what we're doing now. But ultimately, what we are looking at here is that there's going to be a number of different layers associated with both safety and security. There's no one thing that makes the school safe, of course. It's a layered approach. And that starts at the perimeter of the building and works its way inside the building. Certainly, there's going to be protocols in place, security staffing in place. And as we get closer to an opening, we'll refine those pieces there. There will be very detailed emergency plans that address how we prevent these emergencies from happening, protocols in place. The state education department has a number of regulations for both public and private schools on how they have to be able to prepare and respond to emergencies, drills and evaluations going forward. Having emergency response teams that will enable, work on the emergency plans that will work with them closely. Implementation of protocols going forward. And another big piece is a collaborative piece with your neighbors as well. So that means both neighboring school districts. So, and these are memorandums of understanding that go out to say, if let's say the Somers School District needed to utilize the facility in an emergency situation, they could relocate students to the campus. And also if the school had to move, the private school had to move people over there, we would do that as well. And that's a similar situation that we forged between the Somers School District now and Kennedy Catholic and vice versa to be able to share those facilities in an emergency situation. So there's going to be a number of layered approaches on here. The school has a great medical team that's in place right now as well that's looking at the infectious disease aspect of it, how to deal with kids and staff members that might become ill on campus. as far as the infirmary goes, how to isolate people if there was some type of outbreak in the school, similar to how colleges handle this to make sure that they're not spreading the disease. So the nice thing about with a blank canvas that you're really starting with this phenomenal facility is that we're able to implement a lot of the safety and security protocols and mechanisms, working closely with the architect and emergency planning to be able to put these things in place. So things like access control and electronic locks and surveillance and all those things are going to really be a big piece of the puzzle there. I think it's probably helpful. I don't see the slide deck on the screen, which is no problem, Tim. But is there anyone that has some specific questions regarding the safety and security? Because usually there always are, and I'm happy to kind of address those specific pieces.
But yeah, I have just an issue because I know that the town police and the state police work with our school system regarding certain drills in schools,
right,
either lockdown or lockout. Is that going to be part of your plan for the new school?
Yeah, absolutely. So it has to be, because ultimately in a real emergency situation, these are the people that are going to be coming to the campus to lend their support. So it's really important to have them involved in the dialogue as far as the planning that goes forward there, because schools are really supposed to have emergency teams in place that have members of external stakeholders so they can weigh in on these things. I'm sure the local police, the state police, the fire department really want to have their voices heard as far as the safety actions that are in place in the school. And we want them to be there because we really want to understand both their capabilities, but also what are their pain points going forward. So when we do have drills on the campus, we would certainly want them to be involved, because ultimately, if they're coming there, we want them to understand what our facilities look like, how they run. The first time you want someone walking into a building is not in the middle of an emergency. So we want them to become familiar with the campus, the layout going forward, particularly the local first responders, which are going to be the first in. When we have a major emergency, hopefully this never happens in Somers, it's all hands on deck from across the county and even in neighboring states as well. So, but the first people into those buildings, we really want them to have that familiarity, and they will be part of the dialogue and with the drills execution as we go forward.
I
Do you
just
look,
add
do you
one
look
thing.
at,
Oh,
do you look at the types of equipment the first responders have to meet an emergency? And
Yeah,
then
so
have access to that?
That's a great question. So in addition to the fact of how the school does things, it's important for the school to evaluate the resources that are available in the local community. Not as much of an issue in a community like Somers as when you start going into really isolated areas where your police response could be 20 minutes, your fire response could be 20 minutes. So looking locally there, you've got a really good community of emergency responders, both in Somers and neighboring communities, that the response times are reasonably good, but we certainly want them to understand. And again, this building's not a brand new building. So they were emergency responders to when it was an IBM campus as well,
Right.
with an enormous population of people there. So they're familiar with the surroundings. When we met with the police chief, he knew the building very, very well. Police chief as well, fire chief. I mean, they all know the building and the campus very well. So it's just a matter of really acclimating them to the modifications that'll be made, how the building's going to be utilized, and making sure that they're part of the dialogue as we go forward.
Got it.
Just
Thank you.
add, one other thing. You know, we've got a local expert on school medical and health advising us and working with the architects and the education team on exam rooms, nurse stations, isolation rooms, hospitalization, quarantine. I had a good conversation with the Westchester Medical Center who handles medevac. I let them know that we've got a helipad in case of trauma. I said, great, let's get together. Loves to see the campus. Interesting, he's also the CDC COVID person at Westchester Medical. So we get two birds hit there. So a lot of side discussions just to make sure we know who the parties are we need to be talking to as we refine and get to, launch. One last thing regarding infectious disease. I'm not sure why my screen's not showing, but we had the leader, 2.5, 3 months ago, we were talking to the leading provider of UV lighting that's used for preventative disease. And they've come out to visit the campus and make some recommendations, give us a plan for permanent portable UV lighting. Since that time, I think about a month ago, they were selected as the MTA, the New York MTA bus and train provider to provide UV lighting for trains, buses, and the stations. So we're looking at UV, air purification, ionization systems, and UV can kill 99.9% of room surface bacteria. So we're learning a lot about this and how to even work at the air handler location. So I know more about this than I ever thought I would, but anyway, and we're sharing all this with our team members. So.
Okay, John, one other question. So this is obviously going to be a controlled campus, right? Someone driving down 100 just can't take a left turn and drive up into the campus. So I've been asked a number of questions. Will students be free to come and go? Can people from town walk up onto the campus? If you could just address those concerns.
Right. So obviously, with any campus, even with a public school campus, there is a degree of security. So you can't just simply walk into a school building during the course of the school day, and you want that. So this being the campus that it is, the security will start at the entrances. So people will have to state their purpose as far as coming onto the campus. There are a number of different mechanisms that are in place right now from the old Somers IBM installation, which is great, and there'll be probably some upgrades associated with that. As far as the specifics as student movement, I'll kind of defer to Tim on some of the movement on there, but I think some of the expectation is to obviously allow the kids to move into the town area, to patronize the businesses in the area. There has to be accountability on the part of the school to make sure they're responsible for them. So there will be an accountability piece there, and that protocol will be refined going forward there. As far as public use of the campus, we haven't really kind of drilled down to that level yet. And certainly we want to be good neighbors for the community on there, but also find the right balance to make sure that the students on the campus who are going to be utilizing the beautiful facilities that are there, that we're keeping in mind and having a thoughtful process that they're safe as well as they're moving around outside the campus, walking, utilizing the sports facilities. So it's going to be something we'll refine as we move forward, certainly.
All right, so even when it was the IBM campus, they had gates that you'd have to go up to a booth, introduce yourself, and then they'd let you in. Is it going to be that kind of restrictive use driving to the campus? I understand totally about going into a building. You're going to want IDs and everything else, but I'm just saying just to get onto the campus.
Right. So I think I'm not so sure that we're going to have necessarily people that would be manning those stations there, which may not be an effective use of manpower, but certainly we have the ability when necessary to close access to the upper part of the campus at the gate. That could be monitored by a central control center to say, hey, what are you here for? And then as far as the use of the campus, there could be a discussion. I think this is a good collaborative piece there to have with as far as the community stakeholders to determine how best we can utilize the campus, perhaps on off hours and things like that. But right now we're looking at a situation where it is a closed campus so that we can keep our students safe while on the campus on there. That would be monitored by a full-time security, staffing at each of the buildings and from a command center.
Thank you.
Sure.
Can I just follow up on that with Tim? So one of the plans you had in front of the planning board was a pathway that would go through the woods and down past Bailey Bailey Court. But that pathway got ditched for, I think, probably obvious reasons. Am I correct on that?
Mark, you would, I don't think.
Yeah, I'll say, yes. Yes, it has been changed. There will be no walking path. This will be a closed campus, and there will be a shuttle that will be provided. So if the students want to go to town, there'll be a shuttle. Tim will know more about the specifics of that, and I saw some interesting pictures of it. But if a student wants to go off campus, they're going to have to register, and they'll be taken downtown. There will be no walking off.
So there will not be any walking off of the campus by the students there, regardless of their grade. Is that right?
That is correct.
So that would not be similar to, let's say, the EI Academy down in Valhalla, where they do walk off.
Correct.
Because you had mentioned that.
We're going to have transportation provided. There may be for seniors, and that's up that may have some cars that'll be able to go in and out, but there will be no walking on and off campus.
Yeah, we've had extensive conversations, internally with our group, how things would work, who would have a car, who could leave in their car or a bike. how the shuttles would run. In fact, we've got questions for town. In fact, maybe we've got to, just do a transportation, discussion, because I think we have questions. If we're going to run a shuttle, where can it drop off? Where's the best place? Where would town like the shuttles to stop and drop off so that we're not creating any congestion? Shuttles to the train station, shuttles to town. When do the shuttles go to the mall? Is it only on the weekends, once during the week? We've had these discussions. I think we're probably, we could get a transportation meeting or discussion together. And I know we've got questions on where we can go in town and where we should go in town, right?
Yeah, kids with cars could be a concern for you, I would think. I wouldn't mind kids walking. I've always favored some sort of walkway, a pathway along the road, a sidewalk or something that we partner on. I think it's good that's not through the woods, though. I think that was a smart thing. But, I wouldn't say anything wrong with kids walking off, but it'll be hard to control it if they have cars.
And to your point, there's a lot of lessons to be learned from the experiences of the EF Academy down in Valhalla, because it's not without challenges. So
they've had some. I'm familiar with it.
And our work with them over the years, we've certainly gleaned a lot of lessons learned from where their pain points are. That's definitely going to be overlaid into this to make sure that we have the safest possible mechanism for the kids, but also have the ability for them to, enjoy the town of Somers, to patronize the businesses and work within the community. So we'll certainly be looking at that closely.
And we've discussed internally hours that they could leave. It's, so I just don't know if we have the time here, but this is a discussion and I think a separate plan that's very specific, and we're ready to do that. So.
Okay, I see there's a comment in the chat room here. What kind of mental health support are you prepared to offer your students?
Yeah, there's a slide on health and wellness, social and emotional well-being. It's not in front of me right now, but it's in here. And so there'll be counseling, not only academic career counseling, but life counseling. And look, I've been in international schools. I know that kids get very excited about going to a new school that's away from home, and then they get there, and there are emotional things that don't hit them until they get to campus. So we've got people that we're talking to about joining that have dealt with this and they're seasoned in it. And that's a good question.
Tim, can I just mention something? One of the things we want to make sure on the ed team is not to think of, social emotional wellness as an afterthought or something that's kind of thrown in at the end of the senior year. We understand that, after 10, 15 years of research, that social emotional wellness of a student's ability, the degree of their social emotional wellness determines how successful they're going to be in the classroom. So we're building a curriculum where social emotional wellness is at the center of what we're doing. It's at the center of the EGFs. It's at the center of our AP courses. It's at the center of our athletics program. So, we're in talks even with the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence and looking at their work and consulting with their researchers about how we can make sure we can build it as a normal daily routine from morning till the afternoon of a schedule. So it's not just sprinkled, it is embedded in the curriculum. And I don't think anyone in the ed tech team would think otherwise.
Okay. So if there are no other, is there anybody else in the queue, Patty or Paul?
Rick, could I ask Tim to provide a name that represent the academic side of the academy, so that in case someone wants to invite him to give a talk about the school, the future, the plan, the philosophy?
Yeah, I'm not ready to do that over the video conference.
No, not this video conference. Whatever people wants to really talk to you in depth about your educational goal.
Oh yeah, well, they can talk to me. We're not ready to introduce our whole team yet. Their choice. But is there someone that you have that'd like
No,
to?
as you heard my question, this is a philosophical question that's very important from top down.
Right.
Not just development. Development of facilities is to meet your goal on the top. And if you don't have a goal that we don't know what the goal is, sometimes it's difficult to understand how we will cooperate, how we work together, and so on.
That's fine. We have provided to partners our lengthy philosophy on how we're designing the school. I'd be happy to I'll send that to everyone in town. Supervisor Morrissey, I'll directly email that to you. I think you'll find it impressive, and it's well thought out.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we can.
Okay, we'll start from there. Thank you.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Rick, I have nothing further, Rick.
Nothing further, Paul?
No, I
Anybody
do
else?
not.
No, no one in the queue?
No.
Okay, so with that, I want to thank the team tonight. It's been, once again, very educational, and it's exciting. We're always glad to hear about the adaptive reuse of that campus. It's a different world. We're all adjusting to it, and it's unfortunate that the timelines had to be pushed ahead. But it sounds like everyone's adapting, and we're going to survive. So what I'm going to do is make a motion to continue the public hearing to a later date. Roland is
Yes, both public hearings.
okay. So the
Do that twice.
law and the proposed revisions to the town of Somers comprehensive plan. Make a motion to continue those two public hearings.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so moved. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your presentations tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Thank you.
Have a nice 4th, everybody.
Okay, so our next item of business tonight, gentlemen, is I'll make a motion to open public comment.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. All right, Paul, Patty, anyone for public comment?
I have nothing yet. I'm just going to ask you guys to wait one moment, please.
Yeah, just wait on my end as well. I have nothing right now, guys, but we'll give it a minute or so.
There
Okay,
may
so
be a call.
here's the posting for how you can participate. And I'll use this time as it's appropriate for public comment. The governor has allowed for these type of Zoom meetings, obviously, because of the COVID virus outbreak. Now, what's not clear is how long these will be allowed to happen. I think we're going to know more by July 6th, which is the next phase opening. But it's once again, it's up in the air. I know I for one would like to get back to see people face to face, but I really don't see us returning to a room full of people at a town board meeting. I think we're going to be socially distanced when we go back. I think we're going to have people spread out in the meeting room. Maybe we look for bigger venues when we have public hearings, when we're going to have them face to face. We've done that with the school in the past. We had some meetings over there at the middle school auditorium. Maybe that could be set up where we could be socially distant and still have a face-to-face encounter with the public. So I'm looking forward to those days, but once again, the future of Zoom meetings is still still in the air. So Patty, Paul,
I have nothing yet, but I did get a text message that somebody is supposed to be trying to call in via Zoom, so we'll just wait it out, I guess, another minute.
Okay, very well.
I have nothing further on my text messages, but as I said earlier, somebody may be calling in.
Okay, so did you said you had text message?
I have nothing further on my text messages, no.
Oh, nothing further on it, okay.
Sorry.
So,
All right,
Rick, maybe what we'll do is, or do we have to close public hearing? In other words, if we don't answer it now?
No, Roland, I'll just keep public comment open and move ahead with the agenda.
Sure.
Okay. All right, so with that, we'll keep that open. The first item on the town board is Town of Somers COVID update. We are still not out of the woods. The Westchester County, since the beginning of the outbreak, we've had close to 35,000 Westchester residents testing positive, for the virus. And just over the last 2 days, 46 more people tested positive. The very sad comment here is the county has suffered 1,400 fatalities due to this virus. And the reason our flags are at half mast is to pay respect to these lost souls and to respect of their families as well. Just over the last couple of nights, we've had 2 fatalities in Westchester County. So I think my message here is the virus is out there. We've been very good with mask wearing, because these are the things that have bent the curve. These are the things that have reduced the numbers. We're doing well as far as a region. We're in phase 3 right now, which means some indoor dining has been added. We're looking at phase 4. And we'll see what happens if we qualify for that. But I think it's incumbent upon everyone to know that this is a very deadly virus, and it hasn't gone away and doesn't look like it's going to go away. What we've done, though, is we've gotten control of it. We know how to control it. This week, we opened our public buildings to our employees. We're calling our employees back to work now. Deputy Supervisor Garrity has head up the reentry task force, which allows for the town to take certain measures to make sure our offices are safe. You heard Tim DeCipio talk about ultraviolet light. Well, we've incorporated that into our HVAC systems. We've also set up plexiglass enclosures for dealing with the public and for actually dealing with each other in the building. So we've also instituted daily health forms that each employee will have to complete. They can do it online. Every employee should be taking their temperature in the morning. If it's 104.4 or above, they are to stay home. So these are some of the things that we are creating the safest work environment we can. And when we do open to the public, we'll be doing it by appointments and allowing people into the meeting room where business will be conducted. But let me just get back to, so I told you about what's going on in the county, what's happening in our own town. So since the outbreak, we've had 382 Somers residents testing positive for the COVID virus. Currently, we have 32 active cases in the town. That's pretty high for our small municipality. And I was very concerned with the large number of active cases that we were getting. So for the last month and a half, I've been dealing with the county executive's office, the county health department, and the state health department. And basically what we've determined, based on the governor's executive order a number of weeks ago, he ordered employees in nursing homes to be tested weekly. And what has happened in our own local nursing home is those employees that tested positive were being listed as living in Somers. So what we're been able to do, and you've seen our numbers come down a little bit, they are removing those people off the Somers rolls because it does three things. It inflates Somers numbers, it underreports where those people live, and when they go to do contact tracing, it causes a problem. So they are in the process of rectifying that. So if of those 32 cases, if we backtrack and we identify who's in a nursing home, who's not in a nursing home, in our community right now, we have about 4 active COVID cases. So although it's a low number, the fact that people are still contracting the virus is still a very important fact. So let's be smart about mask wearing, social distancing, and look, it's a sign of respect when you're in public to be wearing your mask. And you see a lot of young people out there, you know, they think, oh, I'm well, and I've look, you have to respect your fellow resident. Like the mask protects us against them. In other words, your droplets should be staying with you. And when you're not doing that, you're disrespecting everybody else in the community. So we have had complaints. We have issued violations. We are actively enforcing the mask wearing and social distancing. So with that, Paul, I noticed that there was some,
Hey, Rick.
yeah.
Before, I'm sorry, but just to point out what you were saying, look at Chappaqua. One person comes back to the graduation from Florida who turns out to be positive, and now between Chappaqua and Pleasantville, they got over 20-something people who are infected, which, you know, this thing can be mild infections, obviously can be deadly infections, but apparently everyone agrees now it's really infectious. So that just one person slipping up can affect a whole lot of people unwittingly. And so for exactly the reasons you say, it's so important that we're vigilant and we stay vigilant and we not become Florida.
No, exactly. So even as we're, you know, opening up the park and you're allowed to indoor dine socially distant, masks are going to be part of our, like you carry your wallet, you're going to be carrying a mask for the foreseeable future. Paul, was there any public comment?
Yeah, we had a caller just come in here. Can you please identify yourself?
Are you referring to me?
Yes, go ahead. Please identify yourself.
Okay. This is Josephine Bluestone. I'm on One Manor Lane. I've spoken at a number of town board meetings in the past about NYSEG. This is only the beginning of July. During 2020, 6 months from January to June, we've had a total of 12 outages. This is not a good sign. I'm concerned, especially, well, I'm concerned, one, because of all the number of outages we've had, but second, with COVID and with news reports that there might possibly be an even different second pandemic that might be starting from a new virus that they've discovered in China. In the event we have blackouts in the winter, I would assume that those that are cold will be trying to get into Heritage Hills and causing a crowd. which would even further spread disease. What can we do to try to get NICEAG to rectify the problem? Because it's been going on for years and they're not doing anything.
Anyone from our utility task force want to comment?
Well, we haven't been able to meet for a while because of the COVID. You might get a Zoom call together with them. I know that there's been some recently because I know they've been doing a lot of work over where you live, Rick, over on
Lovell Street.
Lovell.
I know there's been some outages at times. Where I live, I haven't had that many. I don't think, Tony, we've had that many over here. Just maybe, one or two during big storm events. And I know they've been doing their tree trimming program pretty extensively. They put the what do they call it, Rich?
Reclosures,
which I've noticed have worked because the lights dim and then come back on and lights dim. But we're going to try and get together with them sometime soon.
But I think that overall there have been fewer outages in town and they've been shorter in duration. But what's going on over there over at Manor Lane is very strange, and I think we have to look at that specific area. They've spent a lot of time upgrading 30-year-old infrastructure in Heritage Hills. I don't know what's over at Manor Lane, but I think we ought to definitely pursue that. For whatever reason, it doesn't seem consistent with the other figures that we've had in town. So I think that that's something we should take note of. And if Ms. Bescone can send us some details. I know you've spoken to the committee, the task force at other times, but if you can gather that in some sort of paperwork or record and send it on over to the town office, then we have something specific we can pursue even before we have the next meeting, because that's a very disconcerting experience you're having.
Right. I know at one point I had given the supervisor a list of, I don't know, numerous outages that we've had. And unfortunately, due to a personal situation, I stopped keeping track sometime in 2018. With the help of NICEAG, I attempted to recreate some of the missing data. But as you know, you can't trust the figures that NICEAG has because they don't often jive with reality. I do definitely have the accurate figures for 2020. So I'll see if I can find what was the last date that I gave the supervisor and send the additions since that date.
Yeah, I think so. If you have something over the last 12 months, for example, because the other figures have gotten better, either by luck or because of improvements by NICEAG, but they have gotten better. And if yours have not, then something isn't jiving over there, and we'll have to pursue it on your behalf.
Yeah, but we can ask NICEAG about that specific circuit that affects that area,
right?
And they'll give us some stats as well, and we'll see.
So you don't have to pull those stats together. That's nice.
Yeah, we can get those from NICEAG. We'll call our contact over there indeed. And,
well, if hers are different than NICEAG's, I'd like to see that.
Well, mine are different because I keep accurate records.
Well, what I'd like to see that the town's outages are down, and that her outages are similar to that. I mean, that's at least what they can tell us.
But I'm curious as to what Rich said. We hear of all the work that they've been doing, and I can see where the reclosures are on different poles around town. I'll be curious, and they'll tell us. Rob can tell us what work they've done there, specifically on the circuit, how many reclosers are in there, what sort of a loop it is, and all that. So we can get that information.
Right.
And I will also send mine. And also, I have another aspect of this. At one town board meeting, I had inquired as to gas lines. And the supervisor had said that he would contact Con Ed because they have the franchise in this area. And I'd like to know what happened as a result of that.
Supervisor, could I suggest that maybe the town should really begin to collect this kind of data, because it is a troublesome problem. Not only the utility in electricity, but also internet. And the internet, people are sort of, blame each other. Well, you have no electricity, of course, no internet. I think, if data are being collected through a website and that the people can log in and put in which days, which hours we lost power or lost internet, and that data is going to be valuable for us to speak up. I think, it's going to be a real serious problem, not only on peaceful time, but if emergency time is really a problem.
Right. So I think what you've heard tonight already is that the utility task force, Ms. Besto, we took your complaints about outages coupled with what has been happening over the last 3 years in this town, and really put NYSEG's feet to the fire. I testified in Albany at a Senate hearing. They were fined $10 million in December, $9 million of which is to be spent in the Brewster division, which is the town of Somers. I would suggest that when we get the utility task force back together, on this task force, we have some executives from NYSEG that participate. So once again, as we put their feet to the fire in the past, let's talk about Manor Lane. Let's talk about the tea kettle spout is the circuit I believe that you're on. It runs from Carmel down through. You're at the end of that circuit, and if
right, there's houses that the whole town can have power, and 6 houses will be out, and I'm one of the 6.
Yeah.
There's always been some chronic places. I think we just need to push on them again, on just those areas.
Okay.
But there's no question that that they're making investments in the town in Heritage Hills, and that they're doing all the tree trimming and so on. We just don't know. My feeling is that it's helping, because my personal situation feels better, but it doesn't mean that, we need the statistics to show us.
Well, I think if we get the statistics here, if we just get the particulars, Tom and or I next week will call Rob, who's the head of their operations in this area, lives in Somers, and seems to know every single pole when you talk to him, and find an answer to this.
Right.
The answer might be, well, we need to upgrade and we're going to be improving, and at some point it'll happen, or wow, that's weird and we ought to investigate more. I don't know what their response will be, but we'll get a response.
Yeah, well, sadly is they're going to be raising your rates.
Public Service Commission, it is.
Yeah, quite substantially, and
yeah, that's almost like in the face.
Yeah, I know. It's like, do your job. And
coming back to me.
Yeah, I know.
They
Right.
were into rerouting or having a redundant system since you're at the end of the line. So maybe that's something we could talk to Rob about. Whatever happened to the plan for the end of the line and on Manor Lane? There was going to be some kind of a way to switch them in the case of an outage. And I will just
I remember that.
And I'll just report, because when there are outages, I want to know what's going on with them. So the last number of outages that we've had, one of them was a branch that came off and took out some wire. One was human error. Some guy used the wrong tool while doing some line work. A tree was the other outage. And the question was, look, you guys have cut down every tree possible on Level Street. A tree fell from outside of the right of way. So those things still happen. Squirrels get into transformers. So they are working on being more resilient, and the proof of the pudding is drive up and down Level Street. That is what all streets and lines are going to look like in the future. They do it in Connecticut. It's been very effective. But
around the sky.
Yeah, that's right. So, but even with that, you've got squirrels, you've got tree branches, you've got trees falling, and then you have workman human error. So
you got cars. You got cars and poles, which is one of the largest causes.
right. So Ms. Bestone, you are being heard, and you're talking to two of the task force members who will speak to them specifically about your situation.
We'll
Okay,
suss it
can we
out.
get back to the issue of the possibility of getting gas lines in this area? I know, I believe in 2018, your office, the supervisor's office told me that they had sent an email about it after I had spoken on the town meeting. And I'd like to know what's happened.
Nothing.
Nothing?
We have no. Well, we made an inquiry. There is a gas line that runs across the west side and the northeast side of our town. Parts of Heritage have natural gas service. We're being told it's not cost effective at this time to run gas lines through the town of Somers. Not what we want to hear, but that's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
Much like the
Okay.
Verizon bio.
Right. It's just right that their utility, their song and dance they give us is it's not economically feasible to expand their FiOS service at this time. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I will send you the list of dates and of outages I have and the explanations that NICEAG has given me.
That'd be great. And I'm sure
All
we'll have that at the next meeting of the Utility Task Force. Thank
But
you.
we'll try to get something before that, because I'm not sure when the next meeting's going to be.
Okay.
All right.
Well, you can always talk
Thank
to
you
Rob.
very much.
Okay. Paul, anybody else there for public comment?
No, I do not have anything else.
Okay. All right. So why don't we?
I'm sorry, I have nothing either.
Okay. I'll make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. So moved. All right. The next agenda item is electric vehicle charging station. Reason why I put this on here is we had a recent request by a purveyor of electric charging stations to put them in certain locations in the town. And Soretta and I had a conversation, and she pointed out that we do not address these charging stations in our town code. So the absence of their mention means they're prohibited. Further, we as a town have a grant, and we're in the process of getting a few of these charging stations, which will be on town property. And I would like to see how well they get utilized. I don't think that the example that I look towards is over in Yorktown. There are a number of charging stations behind the Dunkin' Donuts in the white shopping center there. I mean, there are about 15 of them taking up 15 parking spaces, and very few cars are ever plugged in there. We do have one charging station in the Somerstown Shopping Center, which I don't think is utilized at all. So the fact that, someone wants to come in and have us change our zoning to allow for more charging stations when we don't even know what the market for them is, I'm a little reluctant to move forward on that effort. So you can, it's on here to get your opinions as well.
I mean, if they want to do a market study like you suggested, I mean, that would facilitate, your understanding as well. But without anything, I don't know whether it makes sense to move forward at this point.
Right. I think Actually, I would want to see some kind of a market study. Let me see a demonstrated need. I think we could show a need once we get our 2 or 3 installed, because 2 of them are going to be accessible to the public.
When the spaces are open.
Right.
I would agree. Let's see if the 2 get used before they used to let them build 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think to surmise, I agree with Rick. You know, I want to see demand before I satisfy a need.
Right. Right. Okay. So once again, I just wanted to bring that to your attention because I don't know if we're going to get any pushback from the purveyor or wherever he was going to put them, but I just thought I'd put it out there to get a consensus, and I think I have it. The next agenda item is authorize the supervisor to approve using ADP mobile app so the town employees can access their pay statements and tax statements online. There's no cost to implement this, so we do need town board approval to do that. So any questions or discussion about ADP?
I mean, I think it's a good idea. You go online, you see your, you see your.
Well, we're trying to get paperless, and this will certainly do that. So I'll
Will
make
Efficiency
will
is
the
good.
employee have a choice on that for those who
I
do
think
not
so.
have the ability?
No, I think it's all or nothing. They'll get their tax statements. Obviously, the W-2s at the end of the year will be physical paper, but they will no longer be getting paychecks. Paper.
I have similar access to this where I work, and you can get copies of your W-2s and everything at the end of the year. It's nice to have if you're refinancing or something like that. You need your last 2 paychecks.
Yeah, that's true.
You just go
That's true.
pick them up,
But
or
it's-
if you need it for the
Well,
other sort of thing.
You can
I'm
print
sorry.
them out.
I'm going to interrupt 1 second. It's not we won't be getting paychecks. We won't be getting paid stubs. So anybody on direct deposit won't be getting anything. But if they still have a check, a live check, they'll still get those.
Okay, but Patty, they would still have the option to go into this ADP app, though, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I'm sure. But if they're still getting a live check, they're going to have their stubs every other week.
Okay, well, we're trying to encourage everybody to not get a check and
Well,
use,
that's
use it.
another argument.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to make a motion to authorize supervisor to approve using the ADP mobile app.
Second. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so moved. I wanted to get that done. I have an add-on. This is the state transportation service contract with our senior program. It's a service contract of close to $2,000, not to exceed $1,962, and it's a service contract that we have to get back to the state so we can get access to that close to $2,000. So I'm going to make a motion to approve. It's called 3B Transportation Services Contract, and this is with the senior program.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, moving on. I'd like to just take this opportunity. We're not quite there at announcements yet, but I wanted to thank Paul from Euro Productions for going above and beyond this week producing our 4th of July tribute. So it'll be announced later on, but I wanted to thank you, Paul. You got it done in between rainstorms and out in front of the townhouse. So I just wanted to mention it and let you know it didn't go unnoticed. So thank you.
Appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks. And with the help of course, the Historical Society and others as well, definitely. And
Right.
even Marty.
Grace, Doris.
Yeah, a lot of people. So thank you to everybody.
That's right. And Bill Winnicky, AKA George Washington,
Yeah,
had a role in his.
it came out great. I'm excited for you guys to see it.
Good.
Awesome. Okay, under personnel. So we have current vacancies on a number of boards. I want to acknowledge the retirement of Don Belmont as Recreation Supervisor for Parks and Recreation. He's been an employee of ours for 21 years, and his retirement will be effective August 1st, 2020. You know, Don has been a fixture. The seniors love him. They're not going to know what to do without him. But thank you, Don, for your service to the town and our seniors. Acknowledge the resignation of Ms. Christine McDonald as a member of the Somers Partner and Prevention Committee effective June 14th, 2020. And acknowledge.
Yes, Christine's done a great job for the committee. She's moving on.
Yeah, no, she was very active. I understand. It's great. Acknowledge the termination of employee with ADP ID 099530 as road maintainer for the Somers Highway Department, effective April 17th, 2020. And along with that, since we're not hiring any new people, but we will replace road maintainers, acknowledge the hiring of Mark P.
Biacco.
As a full-time road maintainer at the Highway Department at an annual salary of $54,184. And you can read the rest. 90% of his salary will be paid in the first 6 months. And then I have another add-on here that I want to make a motion. We had some interviews for an opening on our ARB. We had 2 very good candidates, but I'd like a motion to appoint Tony Sutton to the Architectural Review Board for a 3-year term ending 3/31/2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, and our other candidate, we will be reaching out to, because we're not going to let you go. You want to volunteer for the town, we want to put you to work. So we have some ideas for you, and I'll be outreaching to you to hopefully get you involved in another board or a committee.
He was quite impressive. I think we would all agree.
Yeah, these were 2 great candidates. And once again, I encourage everyone to come out and, get involved in the town. These 2 gentlemen are any example of the talent that's out there. We could use you. Okay, proposed consensus agenda. Any questions on any of that?
Pretty straightforward.
Okay, so our next town board meeting will be July 9th, next Thursday. And Patty, I understand you might have some announcements tonight.
Oh, I do, and I actually made a, sorry. Oh, all right. My screen.
Nice
red shirt.
I made a
Nice shirt.
wardrobe change, but we'll get to that at the end.
Okay.
So the town board announcements for July 2nd, 2020. are as follows, and everything is available on the town website if you do not catch something. Northern Westchester Hospital is having COVID antibody testing for all community members at the Center for Health and Healthy Living. It's located in Chappaqua Crossings, which is next to Whole Foods. The hours of operation are Monday through Friday between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. through July 31st. Pre-registration is required. 24-hour advance notice must be given. The website is available on our website if you need it. The 2020 census, our total response rate for June 30th, 2020. Somers is at 68.9%. We would like to be at 80-something percent.
Yes.
The county is at 62.8%. New York State is at 53.3%.
Oh.
The United States is at 61.8%. So we're slightly lower than our 2010 responses, but we have some time. So please, if you received a code, complete your census online at mycensus.com. .gov. If you did not receive a code, you still can respond. Call Census Bureau at 1-844-330-2020 or go online to my2020census.gov. You can follow the prompts and do it right online. Somers is having a virtual Independence Day celebration presented by the Historical Society on Saturday, July 4th. It will be aired at 10, noon, 4, 8, and 10 p.m. on Cablevision Channel 20, Comcast Channel 12, or on the Town of Somers and the Somers Historical YouTube channels. Please tune in at one of those times. It will be a blast. Camp Morty virtual, you like that, right? Camp Morty's virtual camp 2020. It's free camp at home for opportunity for children between the ages of 8 and 15 who receive services from Westchester County Department of Social Services. For information, call 914-231-4080 or email info@campmorty.com. Now, that I have to speak to because I've spent many times of hiking in Mountain Lakes. It's a great park. They do a great fresh air camp. So anybody who's qualifies, please reach out because it's going to probably be great. So now we're back. We are Somers strong. We are keeping up the good work, wearing our masks and social distancing. Now, as many of you have heard, our townhouse is open for staff 100%. We are available by telephone, appointments. We will meet you outside and let you know when we're available. Just remember, we're all Somers strong.
Good.
Well done. Very well. Thank you, Kathy. Hey, I think you
Nice.
nailed this gig.
And if,
It's wardrobe.
if I may add, I think there was an article in the local paper that talked about a town clerk and what a town clerk does. And I am pleased and pleasured by the fact that we got a town clerk as great as Patty Calba. And
Thank you.
I applaud her and all of her efforts, and I wish that she continues to do so.
Yes, and I think the article shortchanged Ms. Calba on her continued efforts. Didn't give her enough ink or credit.
Yeah. That's what you get
Better.
by I'm not that interesting.
We beg to disagree.
I disagree.
She doesn't only benefit our town. Her tentacles that have spread out throughout the clerk world. And we're proud of you.
Thank you. They're a good group.
Okay. So is any further comments, concerns?
Hey, just one thing. It probably doesn't matter, I don't think legally, but it would matter to Don Belmont. His last day of work is July 31st, because if he works on the 1st, he doesn't get any retirement pay in August. So his last day is July 31st, probably it probably doesn't matter, but just in case it does, the record should show that.
Well, that's what his letter states. So that's the date.
So that's what counts, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So whatever benefits Don,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll be there for him.
Yeah, he's been a good employee, and like you say, a lot of people really enjoy working with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last comment, obviously. Happy birthday, America.
Yeah, happy 4th of July, Somers. Thank you, Bill.
Big
And-
day.
Yes, have a good day.
Yeah, it's just, once again, it's just a shame. I had a little turmoil, internal turmoil. On 4th of July, I like to see the flag flying high and blowing in the wind and having a birthday celebration. But it just doesn't seem appropriate this year. We're still having deaths in Westchester County overnight. Look at Chappaqua, 27, people fall ill with this virus. We have to take this very seriously, and we don't want to get locked down again. I don't know about you folks, but it's nice to get out. It is nice to get out. So with that, I'm going to wish everyone a happy 4th of July, and good night, Somers.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Thank
Good night.
you.
Good night. Thanks, everybody.
All right.